IVC Kids. I am so glad that you guys have joined us again, both here or online, to study what it means to be a person of integrity. Does anyone remember what integrity means? Anyone? Hannah? Yes, integrity is about being truthful in whatever you say and do. So we've been talking this whole month about dropping the act and not pretending to be something you're not, but being truthful in your words and your actions to the way that God created you to be in His ways of living. Okay? So today, Miss Teri is going to help us understand more about what it means to be truthful in the way we think. So it's not just about being truthful in the way you, the words that you say and the actions, but it's also about being truthful in how you think. And so Miss Teri is going to come and teach us from Philippians about what it means to think about what is true.
You. Welcome back. Okay, so who thinks that the Bible is a book? I think it's a book. It's a book. Oh, it could be made into a movie. But did you know that actually the Bible is 66 books? Yes, the Bible is a collection of 66 different books. And some of those books were originally letters. You remember Paul? When we're talking about not our Mr. Paul, but the Paul that wrote part of the Bible. He was a missionary, and he traveled around, and he started churches. And a lot of what we have in our Bible today are actually letters that he wrote back to the churches that he started when he was on his missionary journey. And we're going to talk about one today that he wrote to a city called Philippi. And what do you think we call that book, if it was a letter written to people in Philippi? Philippians, very good. So we're going to talk about Philippians. Now, if you read through Philippians, it's a very, Paul talks about having joy and rejoicing. And you would think that like things were really, really good for Paul when he wrote this letter. But guess what? Paul wrote this letter from jail. You know what horrible, rotten, terrible thing he did to get in jail? He told people about Jesus. That was the horrible, rotten thing that he did that he had to go to jail for. Because the people didn't like what he was saying. And so they put him in jail for telling people about Jesus. Now, if I was in jail, I would not be very joyful. I don't think I'd be very happy. I think I'd be a little sad and very lonely. Sort of like quarantine. Well, quarantine was a little better because at least I wasn't in a dark, cold, wet cell. But, I mean, I would have a hard time being happy. But Paul had learned that whether things were going well or things were not going well, that he didn't have to be dependent on his circumstances, what was happening around him, that he could choose how he reacted. And he wrote in this letter to the Philippians, he told them a secret to how to be happy and content with where they were. Mr. John's going to help me. He's going to put a verse up here. Look at that. It says story. How about that? Okay, so here's this verse, Philippians 4:8. And I'm going to read it to you, and then I want you to help me like dissect this verse a little bit. Do you know what dissect means? It means we're going to break it down into little pieces, okay? All right, and you guys got to help me too. All right, so finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, that's a big word, admirable. If anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. Okay, I'm coming back. Don't worry. I know you can't see me, but but you guys can see me. Okay, so I want you to look at this verse behind me. and tell me what we're looking for. So we're looking for whatever is, what's the first one? True. So I'm going to write these and then I'm going to hold them up for you, okay? Because I'm really not talented enough to hold and write at the same time. Okay, so the first one is true. What's the second one? Whatever is true, whatever is noble. Do you know what that means? Noble. I think of noble as like a king. What do you think of as noble? Somebody that does the right thing. You know, they are in a position of authority and they do the right thing. They're noble. Whatever is, what's the next one? Right. As opposed to wrong, not left. So whatever's right. What is the next one? Whatever is pure. As opposed to dirty. Okay, it's pure, it's clean. Whatever is lovely. Like pretty as opposed to ugly. All right, so we got true, noble, right, pure, lovely. What's the next one? Admirable. Admirable comes from admire. If you admire something, what do? You admire it. Very good. Thank you. That was excellent. It means you think it's a good thing. It's somebody that you think is doing well. It's somebody that you look up to. So if it's admirable. All right, we got a couple more. If anything is excellent. All right, give me a good old definition for excellent. Yeah, it's not only good, it's perfect, right? It's excellent. It's way up there. Excellent, and next is, okay, what's something that's praiseworthy? Yeah, God is praiseworthy. That means it deserves to be praised or encouraged or said good things about. Okay, so all these things, and then what are we going to do about these things? What's the last line up there? Think about such things. All right, so here's our list. The moment of truth. Dun, dun, dun. How bad is Miss Teri's handwriting? Just kidding. Okay, so here's our list. All right, now, what in the world does this have to do with us? Okay, let's bring it home, okay? Hannah, may I use you as an example? Or should I use me as an example first? Okay, I'll start with me and then I'll come back to you, okay? Yesterday, something happened to Abby and I that really could have ruined our day, okay? We were coming home from the grocery store. We stopped to turn into our neighborhood, and the car behind us does not stop. So we kind of get smashed while we're waiting to turn into our neighborhood. So normally my trunk is like this wide behind my car. Well, at the end of it, my trunk is even with my car. Now, this could be kind of funny if you think about a bag of potato chips, okay? So which there were several of in the trunk of my car. What would happen to a bag of potato chips if it went? Yes! So there were potato chips everywhere in the trunk. Very cool, huh? It was like, okay. So, okay, we could have been really, really upset about this. I mean, we're on our way from that grocery store, we're like running errands and stuff, and our day really gets disrupted, okay? Because we're just minding our own business, waiting to turn into our neighborhood, and somebody basically totals our car. So I can think about this of all the bad things. Okay, I can't eat those potato chips because they are all over my car. Okay, I cannot drive my car because the back of my car is now wrapped around my tire. Okay, that's not a good thing. Don't know what I'm going to drive for the rest of the day, let alone the rest of the week, because that car is not going anywhere. So, I mean, there's all these bad things, and we could look at it and it's like, oh, it's ruined our whole weekend. Or we could come to this little list right here. And whatever happens, we can look for what's true, noble, right, pure, lovely, admirable, excellent, and praiseworthy. Well, you know what was praiseworthy? Abby and I got out of the car and walked away. No cuts, no bruises, no broken glass, no broken bones. I mean, we were completely okay. The young man that hit us, he was completely okay. He has a little bump on the front of his car, but he was able to drive his car away. We had the opportunity to meet a very nice young man who's having a really hard time. We found out that 3 weeks ago he lost his mother. I don't know how you get over that when you're a young person. I mean, he's 16 years old. So we could look at all the bad things, or we could look at God kept us safe. We did not get pushed into the other lane. We did not get hit from the front. We were not hurt. We didn't have to go to the hospital. We ate the chips that were all over the car. Jonathan was like, I was like, Jonathan, come down and get the groceries out of the car. And I said, what are we going to do with the chips? And he said, well, we're going to eat them, of course. See, so he could see the good in it. So anything in life that's like that, you can choose. You can choose whether you're going to react positively or negatively, and it's a choice. And so we made a choice. Now, Hannah and I were talking a little while ago, few minutes ago, and what you may not know is, especially you guys at home, Hannah's family moved last week. So they've been incredibly busy. They have so much to do. They had to take everything out of where they used to live, put it in a truck, and take it to where they live now. Well, guess what? Then they had to put all of that stuff where it goes. That's a lot of stuff when you're moving a whole family. And they're still not finished, and it's been a whole week. But guess what? We can look at all the bad things. You know, it's not finished. It's been a whole week, and we're not done. We ran out of paint. Didn't I hear? We painted. We thought we were done. And then you could see the other color through it. So we got to paint again. And, oh, my goodness, she has to share a room with her sister. We could look at all the bad things. And, I mean, it's a lot of work. There's a lot of negatives there. Or, Hannah, pick one. True, noble, right, pure, lovely, admirable, excellent. Ooh, excellent. You know what else they got in this new house? A study room. Hannah, where did you have to study before when you lived in the apartment? Yep, in somebody's bedroom. Now they have a whole room that's a study room. Miss Kim can study there. Hannah can study there. And guess what? They have a whole nother room. What's the other room for? Playing. They have like a TV and like we can play board games. Now, did you have 2 extra rooms in your other place? Now be honest. How many rooms were in your other place? Most of them were technically bedrooms, and I believe there were 3? Uh-huh. Okay, all right, so let me relay that to you. Technically, there was a living room, a dining room, a kitchen, and 3 bedrooms. Did I leave out one? And 2 bathrooms. But now, do you still have a kitchen? Do you still have a living room? Do you still have bedrooms? And do you have a study room and a playroom? Or a TV room, whatever? And do you get to paint it whatever color you want? I mean, like, did you get to pick what color to paint it? The rooms that you're painting, where you ran out of the paint. Okay, so they painted accent walls in 2 rooms. Okay, now my question is, could you do any of that where you used to live? In those rooms that you didn't even have, you didn't have a study room or a playroom. Right, you were renting, and now it's your house, right? I point to me, but it's really your house. It's not my house. It's your house. Okay, so my point is, everything that happens in life, you get to choose whether it's good or bad. Because let's just be honest. There are some things that happen that are not good. To be in a car accident is not a good thing. And we could focus on all the things that are bad about being in a car accident. We could focus on all the things that are bad about moving. It's so much work. You're so tired. I mean, I bet your mom and dad have, just like slept 12 hours a night since all this happened because, they have nothing else to do, right? Oh, they might have been up working too. Yeah. Okay, so everything is like that. Okay, what about this whole coronavirus quarantine pandemic? There's some really bad things about that, right? I mean, okay, you guys at home, when's the last time you got to come and be here with us? It's been a long time. Okay, you guys that are here spaced out in squares all over the room, you can't even like touch anybody. I mean, that's not good. We're all wearing these mask things. I mean, there's a lot we could focus on that is really bad. You know, a lot of us don't get to go to school. Okay, some of you don't go to school anyway, but some of us who are used to going to school don't get to go to school. We had, at my daughter's school, we had homecoming this week. No dance, no parade, no pep rally, all these things that we look forward to every year for homecoming. None of those happened. We could focus on all of those things. Or we can think about whatever is right, true, noble, pure, lovely, admirable, excellent, praiseworthy. What are some good things that have happened? You know, the weeks that I did get to stay home from work, you know, one of my favorite things was taking walks with Abby. Because I don't normally have time to spend an hour going for a walk with Abby. And that was so special to get to just spend time, and we could talk about whatever we wanted, or we could not talk, we could just walk. And we don't have that kind of time when we go to school and work and everything every day, and we have homework, and we had a lot of extra time. Something I don't get to do very often, I take pictures, and a lot of times they stay on my phone. Yeah? And I actually could print those pictures out, and I put them in an album, and we were able to sit down and look at an album that I put together during the quarantine and look back on some of the amazing trips that we've taken as a family. So there were some really good things that came. Maybe you had time to play in the neighborhood with a friend who would normally be at school, and all of a sudden you got to spend extra time with them. So my point is, and it's really not even my point, it's Paul's point. And he was saying that he had learned that you could find good in any situation, whether it was good, bad, hard, fun. It's just how you looked at it. And that's my point to you. We've been talking about integrity, and integrity is being true in what you, being honest in what you say and what you do. But before what you say and do even happens, it's what you think. So integrity is focusing on what is true. And if you think about what is true, then you will say what is true. You will do what is true. You know who did something, and he said he was going to do something that was very true, and he actually did it? Jesus. You know, Jesus came to earth, and he hung around with his disciples for 3 years. They had great friendship. He taught them. They got to see his miracles, his teaching. He healed people. I mean, he did all these amazing things. And then something really terrible happened. They killed him. Not his disciples, but the other people who didn't like what he was doing, they killed him. Well, if ever there's a reason to not be happy, his disciples had a reason. I mean, they'd been working with Jesus, and they'd been ministering with him for 3 years, and they thought, he is the Messiah, he is the King, he is the one who's going to save us. And he's dead. But then what happened? Then they had what you call an aha moment. God raised Jesus from the dead, he came back to life, and he did everything he said he was going to do. Yes, because he was true. He is truth. And when we think about what is true, we can look at Jesus, because what he said and did is true. He is a person of integrity. Matter of fact, he has the most integrity of anybody that's ever lived and ever will live. And that's what he wants us to be like. He wants us to say things that are true. He wants us to do things that are true. And he wants us to think about things that are true. Now, sometimes you have to look hard for those. They're not always obvious. And sometimes it's a lot easier to say, oh, I got one you can probably relate to. How about screen time? You know what that is? screen time, the time that your parents let you play video games or play on the computer or the phone or whatever. And probably some of you have limits to screen time. Yes, my children have limits to screen time. Now that sounds like a bad thing, right? I mean, we could focus on, my parents are so mean, they just won't even let me watch it. They won't even let me finish the video or finish the game. Never mind that it's level 27 of the game and you've been playing for an hour. We could focus on all the negative things. They just don't even like me. They won't even let me do what I want to do. But if you turn off the screen, what else could you do? What could you do, Bella? You could spend time with your family. You could play a board game. You could go outside and play with a friend. You could be creative. Remember a few months ago we talked about being creative and how God created us to be creative. You could paint, you could draw, you could write, you could sing, you could make up a play. You could do a play with your sisters or brothers or your friends. What else could you do, Bella? Karaoke. Oh, I mean, it doesn't get much more fun than karaoke. Especially if you've ever heard Miss Teri sing. Yeah, okay. But all these great things you can do if you turn off the screen. So it's all in how you look at it. Whether you look for the bad or you look for the good. So my challenge is to you and to you, look for the good in everything. Look for what's true. Practice being a person of integrity like we've talked about this month. Hey, and come back next week, and we're going to start a whole new unit, and we'll have a whole new things to study. And you guys at home have a great week. And you guys here, we're going to have some small group time and talk some more about what it's like to think about what's true. So thanks.